How to invest on terms, getting started with real estate investing. That's today's show. Let's dive into it. Hey everyone, I'm Clayton Morris, longtime real estate investor, and this is the show where we help you build financial freedom, financial intelligence, and we talk about buy and hold real estate. But there are all sorts of facets to buy and hold real estate. There's flipping, there's fixing, there's commercial properties, mobile home properties, all of those things. So today we're going to talk about buying properties on terms and how to actually get real estate investing right from the beginning and how to get started with a real estate coach. We're going to talk today to Zach Beach. Now, he's done over 100 deals in less than 3 years, and at a young age decided to get involved in the family business. We've had his father-in-law, Chris, right here on the show from the Smart Real Estate Investing Coach team, and it's become a family business. So Zach is going to talk all about the new book he's working on, plus how he managed to do 100 deals in 3 years. Zach, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Clayton. I definitely appreciate you having me on, and look forward to having a great interview.
Absolutely. So let's dive into it. So obviously, real estate was in the family. It was in the family blood. How did you first learn that, this is something I want to do? Because we just spoke to an investor just recently who said, he has 5 rental properties, and he said, my kids are just not interested, and I don't know what to do with these properties. And I said, what? Your kids aren't interested? How is that possible? How have you not educated your kids about real estate investing? Well, he said, yeah, they're just not interested. So how did you get so interested in it?
Well, I'm going to tell you that I wasn't super excited to get involved in real estate. It's not, I've been dating Chris's daughter since I was 12 years old, and I've seen them go through various parts of real estate. And it wasn't like I want to be him when I grow up. That wasn't what I was thinking. I was a bartender and a personal trainer coming out of college, and I just got to the point where I was being just so worn down from working long nights and then waking up really early and then training people. I just knew that there was a better way to live, and I just wanted a different lifestyle. So we got to thinking, and I spoke to Chris, and I said, hey, I know you got this real estate thing going on and that you're building. Would you mind if I come and join? And we had the conversation, and it wasn't like there was anything promised. It wasn't like I was going to get a salary or anything like that. So it was a risky move in my mind, but I was young enough to take it, and I didn't have any kids at the time. So I reached out to him, and I just kind of start making phone calls to sellers on my free time, in between those other businesses that I was working. And then eventually I decided, hey, this is something that I think I could be good at, and something that I would really enjoy pursuing. And I dove right into it just about 3 years ago in April. So I'm still
Wow.
less than 3 years, but went full time in April of this coming year would be 3 years.
That's great. So you're a real estate professional. So that's what we always want to talk about here, being a real estate professional and your taxes. So you get that extra tax benefit of doing that. In 3 years, you've done 100 deals. You do about 5 to 10 properties a month, buy and sell about 5 to 10 properties a month. Talk about the first deal. Was Chris kind of holding your hand through that process? What did that first deal look like? Did you make any mistakes? What did you learn?
Sure. So when I was first beginning, because we have the family team, I was just more of an acquisitionist, where I was just making calls to sellers, getting better at my scripts, taking on properties, meaning going through the process of going on appointments and then taking them under contract, and then the rest of the team would kind of go from there. Of course, Chris was holding my hand through various pieces of the business, and as I continued to grow, less and less hand-holding, right? So
Right.
that's kind of why we developed this Smart Real Estate Coach, consulting side or advising side as well, because that's what we do with others. So my first deal ended up being about a negative 30K right off the beginning. It was probably a huge lesson learned, definitely for me and for the team. So we took on a property subject to, so meaning we bought the property, we closed on it subject to the existing loan on the house. So the title did transfer to us, but the loan and the mortgage did stay in the seller's name. We the guy a little more than we probably should have. It's an older home, and it's in Central Mass. There ended up being lead in the property. We placed a tenant buyer in the house. which a tenant buyer is someone who is looking to become a homeowner, but needs our rent-to-own program in order to become a homeowner in the future. We come to realize they have a couple kids. They did a lead test on the property, and we had to do a $30,000 worth of de-leading of the home, morally and ethically, to make sure that that those buyers were in a safe environment, especially with the kids. So that was my first lesson, was do a little bit better due diligence on the house, and maybe not trust the seller as much. Trust is definitely part of the game, but doing due diligence was definitely a huge lesson learned for me.
That's a great point. Paying attention, the seller's going to say anything, right? Probably to try to get out of that house, especially if they're a motivated seller. And so you can trust but verify, right?
Yeah, 100%. And it was, I was urgent to get a deal done and prove myself at that time. So I definitely overlooked a couple things, and I've learned that lesson, and now I'm definitely more due diligent on each and every property that we buy.
I should mention we'll have a link below in the description so people can sign up for the Smart Real Estate Coaching Program, and you guys walk people through and really mentor through that entire process. So let's talk about the process of buying and selling on terms. What exactly does that mean? So if someone's watching this video for the first time, or they're just getting started in real estate investing, what is buying and selling on terms? What exactly does that look like?
Sure. So buying and selling on terms is typically bought just with a contract, right? So we have a couple of different methods which we specialize in. But a lease purchase just means that you're agreeing upon a price with a seller now. You'll then take over 100% responsibility of that property for a period of time. And then on and before an end date, you're going to cash them out. So it's, to keep it super simple, it's like a net lease with the option to purchase on and before a specific date. That's one of the methods. We can go into, we buy property on owner financing or seller financing.
Okay, let's talk about that, because that's a killer strategy. That was your first deal. Was that your first deal on seller financing? No, you did it subject to.
Subject to.
Okay, so seller financing, why would a seller want to sell a property with seller financing? Like, they're selling their house or they're selling an apartment building. Why wouldn't they just want to take all of that money right then and walk away? Why would they go to you, Zach, and say, yeah, I'll sell you this property. In fact, I'll be the bank and we'll do a 10-year note, and then you'll pay me back, 5% interest over that 10 years. Why would they do that?
Sure. So, let's start with, every seller, of course, would, if they can get their full price or their full asking price, would want a traditional sale today.
Right.
The fact of the matter is, most people are not going to be able to get that, and or not going to be able to net, which is the key word, net, as much profit as they'd like. Because yes, you may be able to get full price, but you're talking about paying closing costs, you're talking about paying realtor commissions. So the price starts to drop by percentages, or the amount net starts to drop by percentages, when we may be able to come in and buy the property at a premium if we get a long enough term, or at least be paying full market value on the property. So the seller just collects a check and we take over full responsibility. Also, the closing with us compared to a traditional sale and waiting for a third party to finance is a heck of a lot longer of a process, and not as easy compared to going to get an FHA loan with with that buyer or us. Or it's not as strict of a process, so it makes things a lot easier for a seller.
Great. So seller financing, and also another key thing, why would a seller want to do this? It's because they don't have to pay enormous amount of capital gains all at one time, right? Because if they're a smart real estate investor, they've got 7 properties they're selling all at one time. They may have to pay a big lump capital gains at that moment by spreading it out over 15, 20, even 30 years, that they can then hand that note down to their kids. Then they don't have to pay capital gains, and it gets spread out over all those years. So it's always more attractive, and especially once you can negotiate. It sounds like you do a lot of that discussing on the phone with them or in face-to-face and negotiating these things, right?
Yeah, that's true. I would say that, just to point this out, typically we're buying property from like homeowners. When I was buying them from investors. So typically, when we buy our properties, owner financing, we're usually constructing notes that are somewhere between, say, like 48 to 72 months. People aren't usually looking to wait a very long time for that balloon payment. And because we make it a shorter period of time, we're actually able to structure principal-only payments to these sellers. So as you can imagine, it's definitely a large protective for us, and it can create some great profits. And the reason, I'm sure you're asking yourself why a seller would do that, the reason why we're able to work with sellers and craft up these options this way is because first, the seller is usually able to get a premium on their house. And then also they're going to be receiving 100% of the payment every single month and 100% of the purchase price, because the seller is not claiming interest or income on those taxes. So they're actually getting a full payment because it's coming directly off the purchase price.
Right. Yeah, I remember one lady that I bought a property from. She was 87. She owned a lot of single-family homes, savvy, snappy older lady. And she said, I'll do a 30-year note. And she was 87. I said, okay. And she said, look, I'm probably not going to be around for another few years, but I'm going to hand that note down to my kids, and I don't need that money right now, and I don't want to pay the capital gains on it. And so she knew the lingo. She understood how to do it. But you're right. Most homeowners don't know that they can do this, don't know that they can do seller financing, and that's where the education comes in. You can actually say to them, look, you're actually going to make more money if we do it this way than if I just give you a cash payment. So great stuff. Other ways that we can buy on terms. So we talked about seller financing. What about some other ways?
Yeah, it's subject to deal, as we alluded to. That was the first deal that I did. Subject to can also play into part owner financing as well. Meaning you could close on the property even if they have a mortgage subject to the existing loan, and then you could have the seller finance the balance. So you can do that as well, where a seller could then take a second position on the property in which you could pay monthly payments, installments to, or it could just be a balloon payment. But subject to is a great way to buy houses that are basically worth what the seller's selling it for. So you can actually help a lot of sellers not come out of pocket because if somebody's selling the property for what it's worth and then they have to go with a realtor, now you get people that are coming out of pocket just to sell their house, where instead you could come in and buy it for exactly what they owe. You could close on it. You could take title. So now you have now your ownership. And then now these deals tend to be longer because you're waiting for the principal on the property to pay down and you're waiting for appreciate in the market. But you can create some really good deals here. As I was alluding to, that first deal, even though we came out of pocket $30K at the beginning, the market's actually appreciated over the last 5 years, and it looks like there's going to be almost $100,000 in appreciation just on that house. It's a one of net about $70K on that wow. property. So that's just important. Maybe a house right now doesn't look like the best deal, but if you can hold title and you can come up with a different exit strategy, you can certainly make these houses profitable and help out sellers that are not in a great position.
All right, subject to lease options and seller financing. What other ways do you guys buy right now in the office? How else do you teach people to buy on terms?
Sure. So there's one other option that we focus on. It's called what we like to call an assign out. It's basically like wholesaling a lease purchase agreement. So you're going to tie up the agreement with a seller. You're then going to take it to market, to your rent-to-own market. And as soon as you have a buyer and you get the buyer's package all set up, you're then just going to assign that buyer to the seller. We'll typically do that if there's not a lot of monthly spread that's worth us staying in the middle, or maybe a seller is looking to get more out of the property. Because when we buy and we stay in the middle with a lease purchase, we get the benefit of principal pay down, and we're obviously getting a spread every month. And we're getting that large back end. If a seller wants more money out of this deal, then we could certainly offer that to them, where they're going to get part of the non-refundable deposit. They're going to get the spread on the deal, and they're also going to get the principal pay down if there's a mortgage on the property. The one I would say catch there is, the seller's going to be willing to work hand in hand with that buyer at the time.
Perfect. So some great strategies there. 4 key areas you can buy on terms. So someone's watching for the first time, young, just getting started like you, who's 25, getting into the family business, but someone who's watching and says, I want to take action. I want to get started in real estate investing. What would you say to someone to get started? How can someone get started and learn to create wealth early in their life? It's not something they have to wait till they're in their 40s, right?
No, I don't recommend that you wait until you're in your
Right.
40s. Why not take advantage of this now? I always direct people to start with our webinar. It's free information. It's going to really give you a good introduction on how to work terms deals. And you can find that at smartrealestatecoach.com/webinar. I definitely would take a look at that. We also give out so much free content every single week. So you can find us on our YouTube channel, smartrealestatecoach.com. Subscribe to that. You're going to get at least 3 videos every single week. Our Facebook page is very active as well. So you can find us at smartrealestatecoach.com on Facebook as well. So I would take advantage of that free content and then figure out if the terms market is really the market that you want to get involved in. Because as you alluded to, Clint, at the beginning, there's many different ways to build wealth in real estate, and we're just one of those ways. And if we happen to be, a mentor or someone that you'd look to follow, then certainly we could take the next step at that time. But being young, and I would just really start looking around and finding what best fits you personally.
Yeah, that's perfect. You got to find your own niche, right? You got to find something that speaks to you in this space, something that you can wrap your head around. Like I say, people will start with us, or they'll buy a property with us, or they'll start down that rabbit hole of like single family investing, and then they'll get shiny object syndrome, and they start, I'm going to start doing multifamily. I'm going to start doing mobile home parks and storage facilities, and they start getting distracted pretty quickly because they get a little taste of success and they start going off in all kinds of different directions. So how do you as a young person, we're constantly on our phones, we're constantly being bombarded with different things and ideas. How do you stay focused to your true north so that you're in that office with Chris and the team and you're saying, no, we got to stay focused on what got us here. It's going to continue to move us further.
Yeah, I think you should be living by your calendar too, right? It's super important if you want to accomplish a certain goal, your calendar should reflect that. Like, you should be doing key tasks, key items, where that's going to get you to exactly towards that goal, and that'll stop you from that shiny object syndrome, because you're gonna look at your calendar and you're gonna say, oh, well, that task actually is not going to get me any closer to where I want to be. Maybe I should rethink about doing that. But also, if we even take a step further back, it's okay. Why am I doing this, or why do I want to accomplish this goal? It's super, super important. If you don't know what your why is, then you're never going to be able to strive towards any large goals, because people are going to definitely take you off track, especially with the amount of distractions that are happening in this world that we get every single day. So first and foremost, find out why you're doing this, what your why is, and then figure out what that next goal is, and then make sure that you're implementing steps, quarterly steps, yearly steps that are going to get you closer to that goal, and then do your best to stay on track. I mean, it really comes down to you.
Yeah, I know that's great advice, because so many people don't set those goals. They don't even know why they're getting started in real estate investing. Do they want financial freedom? Understanding your why with something we talk about here a lot on the show, which is, is it because you want to spend more time with your kids? You want to give back to your community? You don't want to be stuck in traffic 2 hours every day going to and from the office. You want to be able to do more creatively in your life. So what is your why? Understand that. And then real estate can be an ultimate vehicle to help get you there. So we will have links to everything that Zach talked about right in the description below, so you can sign up for their webinar. It's free. You can watch that and see if it's for you. You can go through their trainings as well. So all of that will be linked up in our description below. So Zach, what's next for you? You're close to 100 deals. What are you looking to accomplish in the new year?
Sure. So we're heavily focused on our associates who we partner with around the country, and we have a goal for our 5-year goal, which we're at year 4 right now, or we got 4 years left, and that's 1,500 transactions around the country. So what's next for me is just implementing my coaching to help out associates around the country build the life of their dreams, because there's that saying, if everyone else gets what they want, then you eventually get what you want. So it's coaching and consulting and helping people, reach their dreams is my big why right now.
Amen, brother. We're on the same path. That's great. We need more educators out there helping people create wealth. So Zach, my guest has been Zach Beach. Great to see you today from the Smart Real Estate Coaching Program. Great to see you, Zach, and continued success, my friend.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on, Clayton. I appreciate it.
You bet. And thanks to all of you for downloading and subscribing and pushing us up over, I think we're up to, well, it depends on when this airs, but I think hit the 80,000 subscriber mark. So thank you so much for that. And thanks to all of your continued interaction. We always love your comments. So let us know what your thoughts are on buying and selling properties on terms. Have you ever done it? Leave some comments in the thread below. And until next time, everyone, go out there and take action and become a real estate investor, because we believe it's the #1 way to build wealth. We'll see you next time, everyone.